Welcome to scripting. I'm just going to walk through some very general information about what the class is going to be about and what the expectations are. So just going to go first through, week 1 through 6 and kind of outline to you what we're going to be doing with scripting. So after this, you should have a good idea of what's going to be covered and with expectations, basically on a high level, as to what you're going to be getting out of this course. Okay, so starting in week 1, what we're going to be doing is basically kind of introducing you to PowerShell. PowerShell is a modern automation and scripting platform used widely with Windows administration, if that is the area that you're going to go to, or cloud environments, DevOps, and cybersecurity is one of the other things. It's the basic backbone in giving and using PowerShell. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to understand the purpose and the value of scripting, install and configure PowerShell in Visual Studio Code, learn how commandlets work, and commandlets are the basic programming structure as to what you're going to be writing in scripting. Discover how to use built-in help systems, understand execution policies, not executive, and write and execute your first PowerScript script. So this is basically, once we get through this, it's going to set the foundation as to what everything in the rest of the course is going to be about. The learning objectives here, by week 1, you are going to be able to explain the purpose and advantages of scripting, install and configure PowerShell in VS Code, use Git commands to discover available commandlets, use Git help to access information available to you inside of PowerShell, explain PowerShell execution policies, create, save, and run a PowerScript file, and then interpret basic command outputs. What's going to be you will be saying once you run those commandlets. Just kind of an overview. Some of you are maybe here for the first time. Others of you are old pros. Each week you'll be having an assignment, a Cornell Notes expectation, week 1 project lab, and a quiz. The key thing here is what we're going to process or what we're going to be doing each week. There will be a component that you will be applying to your project. So at the end of the 7 weeks, you'll be putting together a presentation as to what you learned in this whole scripting process. So here are the basic assignment, Cornell Notes, project lab, quiz, will be the basic components that you'll be delivering each week. Okay, in week 2, we'll be basically moving from an introductory into more of getting to the real down and dirty basics of what we're going to be doing. Overview, week 2, we're going to move students from a basic command execution to structured scripting. You will learn PowerShell, how PowerShell passes objects through the pipeline, how to store data in variables, how to make scripts intelligent using conditional logic and loops. Students will be writing scripts that capture and manipulate command output, filter and evaluate system data, repeat actions automatically, and make decisions based on conditions. So basically the crux and the syntax of what is the PowerShell language for scripting and how do we get it to use it and get it to work. This week is the foundation for automation and reporting tools that we're going to be covering later in the course. Learning objectives at the end of this week, week 2, expectation is that you will be able to declare and use variables in PowerShell, identify command PowerShell data types, string, integer, Boolean, array, use the pipeline to pass objects between commandlets, filter objects using where object, write conditional logic using if and switch, create loops using for each and while, and combine variables, pipeline, and control flow. If you notice this is really kind of looking at what is the syntax of the language that PowerShell understands? The concepts of what we're being here, being used here, as far as string, the type of data, looping, finding, attributes, tables, all those concepts basically you're probably already aware of. So it's not going to be really anything really that new as far as getting how we're going to do it, but basically putting that in the syntax that PowerShell can understand it. So again, same contents, different language. Okay. Okay, in week 3, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be introducing you to structured reusable scripting techniques. How do we reuse code? Instead of writing linear scripts, start here, it's in here, you're going to learn how to build modular, maintainable code using functions and parameter blocks. You also learn how to persist data. Persistence means keep it. You don't want it to go away at the end of the program. So how do you keep what you produced, and maybe in a file or somewhere on disk? We're going to talk about that. Also, you'll be learning how to persist data, again, using file input, output, making scripts, capable of saving reports, reading configuration files, processing external data. Okay, this week is going to lay the foundation for building professional automation tools. Our learning objectives during week 3: write and call PowerShell functions, use parameter blocks to accept user input, read data from text files using get content, write data files using out file, and explain why modular code improves maintainability. Create, import basic PowerShell modules, and design reusable script components. So again, we basically are moving each week, moving into more and more detail in how we're going to be using PowerShell. Okay, in week 4, what we're going to be kind of delving into is that this week is now going to be focusing on automating common server and security administration tasks. You will learn how to manage running processes on Windows services, query and analyze event logs, review firewall rules. You don't know what these are, you will by the end of the 7 weeks. So, examine user permissions and ACLs. We'll be getting into those definitions. Perform file integrity checks using hashing. Okay, this week we'll bridge the fundamentals with cybersecurity and system administrative practices, if that is the areas that you're thinking about going into. By the end of this week, week 4, you'll be able to start and stop and inspect Windows services using PowerShell, retrieve and filter event log entries, examine firewall rules and system users, view and interpret access control lists, generate file hashes and integrity verification, combine automation with security best practices, and write scripts that perform basic system logs. May seem like a lot of information. One second. Okay, moving into week 5, what we will be covering is in week 5, we're going to start talking about debugging and job scheduling. Normally, everything that you're going to be doing is going to be scheduled, so it runs at a certain time during the day. So we're going to talk about that, and also what happens when things don't work, and how do we debug the problems that we might run into. So this week is focused on scripts, reliability, scalability. You will learn how to handle errors gracefully, debug scripts, run background jobs, and schedule automated tasks. You will move from scripts that run to scripts that survive real-world execution. Excuse me. By the end of the week, you should understand that automation without error handling is dangerous. kind of one of them duh moments, but especially in the server and security environments. So your objectives during this week 5 is going to be use try catch final blocks to handle errors, identify terminating and non-terminating errors, use debugging tools and set breakpoints, bring background jobs using start job, retrieve jobs, results using retrieve job, and creating scheduled tasks using register scheduled tasks. All of these are basically functions pre-built for you to basically set up the parameters in order to schedule and run scripting jobs. Okay, in week six is going to be the last lecture week. What we'll be doing in week 6 provides comparative overview of major scripting environments. PowerShell is not the only environment. Okay, we have Bash, we have VB script, Visual Basic Script. You have batch scripting. So you're going to basically be looking at comparing these different scripting environments and how they differ and how one basically may be a little bit better than the other. As I said, PowerShell is not the only one. By the end of week 6, you'll be able to compare PowerShell and Bash scripting syntax, explain the purpose of Bash shebang, identify differences between object-based and text-based shells, describe the role of cron in Linux, and explain how VB scripts and Bash files were historically used in the Windows environment. Evaluate when to use PowerShell versus some of the other scripting tools, and analyze the strengths and weaknesses of each of the scripting approaches, since each one is different and can be used in different situations. Okay, so that would be the last, basically the last lecture type where you're doing assignments, going down notes, project lab, and quiz. Because during week 7, what week 7 is going to be doing is dedication to your taking all of the previous 6 weeks, 6 weeks of information or 6 weeks of projects and homework, and basically kind of accumulating that into one presentation. And this is going to be under the assumption that, say that you were going to present to the other faculty here at Carolina as to what you did in scripting. So basically, without going through a lot of it, other than I will show you, let's go here. Okay, so for example here, this lays out for week 7, what are the requirements that you're going to have as far as the deliverables in the final project. So that's what you'll be doing in week 7, just working on your final project to get that squared away. So that's kind of an overview of scripting and what we're going to be doing in weeks 1 through 6. Okay, so I want you to look at that. Sorry about this, my printer. Okay, so I want you to basically think about that, and we'll be looking for a great 7 weeks here, starting on March 9th, and looking forward to seeing each and every one of you. I'm sure it's going to be a great class. Have a good one. Bye.